How's it going?
Going well.
Okay.
That's that new guy energy.
I very much liked how straightforward it was and how rare it was to read something that was so self-contained and that seemed to be so unembellished.
You're just kind of dropped right in the middle of these people's lives.
I remember reading the script and feeling very entrapped in it. Step by step, beat by beat, we're watching and feeling in real time through the script what's happening.
One thing that's always important to remember as actors when you're representing real life events of this nature is that, you know, you're very lucky that you didn't have to experience it for real, and whatever difficulty you face as an actor, it's going to pale in comparison to the real life experience of the people you're representing.
Fire the hole!
The last film we made with Alex Garland, Civil War, we had a military advisor, Ray Mendoza. Ray was an ex-US Navy SEAL.
Ray and I met on the film Civil War. We worked together very closely. We started talking about this film that Ray had in mind as a film he wanted to make. And I thought to myself, I will do everything I can to assist Ray in making that film.
It's about a group of young SEALs that were in Iraq conducting an Overwatch mission. In doing so, they came upon contact and sustained 2 pretty catastrophic injuries. And essentially the movie's about them having to come together and figure out a plan and to get to those 2 wounded to the next level of care. I did this for Elliot Miller, who's portrayed in the film. One of the stories I've always wanted to tell was this one because of Elliot. Elliot doesn't recall what had happened.
Your company has moved northwest of your location.
Understand. Copy all. Sir, Baker Company, we're here. You're not here. 2 kilometers in this position.
Copy that.
It's just the real life scenario of what Ray and all these SEALs experienced on this specific day, all recalled from Ray's memory along with the other guys.
Ray spoke to us a lot about the shield. The SEALs had this shield. They felt they couldn't get hurt. They felt impenetrable. And this was a day that there was a crack in the shield and the shield broke.
I think the thing that was really extraordinary is just in its format. It was unlike any script I'd ever read. It really kind of broke with convention, and that was really exciting to me because I think in the depiction of war and what it is to be at war for civilians like ourselves, we only really have films, more often than not, as a frame of reference. And this didn't feel filmic really at all. It felt like a transcript from found footage or something. And that was incredibly exciting.
Which side are we getting Elliot out on?
Elliot.
Inbound! Inbound!
The challenge that the actors had in this film is that they were playing real people.
I got a male, white shirt, dark tracksuit pants, looking at our position. That sound familiar?
I would see off to the corner sometimes quite a lot of tears on this set. And I think at times that was people being moved just by the emotion of it. And I think sometimes moved by the pressure of it. For DeFaro, he had the guy he was playing not just as a real person, but a real person who was standing a few feet away from him and was actually directing the film.
I have a very unique experience when it comes to this compared to the other castmates because my guy is co-directing and co-writing it. I'm trying to embody Ray as much as I can. He's a really hard guy to embody, so I do it as much as I can.
From the get-go, we need really physical actors, people that got the grit and the will to like push through those long, hard days. Obviously, the acting and performance side is important as well.
I would say in the end, attitude might have been the most significant 100%. Defining factor.
I'm gonna leave it on you guys, as long as your weapon's in a safe direction.
It started with training, safety, and then confidence. You know, it's like there's building blocks of confidence. You know, a lot of those guys hadn't ever fired a gun. Some of you guys are establishing your field of fire the same direction as the guy in front of you, all right? So which tells me you gotta like slow down. You know, they're a really tight group. They always wanted to be there for each other. So they really embodied the brotherhood concept.
Ray and Alex setting up this boot camp for 3 weeks that really helped inform just a lot of the things we did together, building the camaraderie.
Have you seen this guy? Look at Mr. Melton over there. He's got this sexy haircut. Look at that face.
We could have not shot this in the time that we are shooting this film without that boot camp process.
I've definitely been pushed the furthest I've ever been on this project, especially when it came to boot camp. And I loved it because I never felt alone. You know, it was very much I had these guys encouraging me every step of the way.
When the chaos ensues, you see these men fall back onto their training.
One of the best things about it was the fact that they drilled the actors out of us, which was great because they injected us full of a SEAL mindset, and then they allowed us to apply that to the actor mindset.
Everything we used was real. The weapons were real, the armor we wore were real, the Bradleys are real. Even the guys, when they were talking on the radio, they're not pretending, they're actually communicating with someone.
There's this building, it's called the Communication Shack. When they weren't on camera, they would just all go in there, you know, they're all on comms, taking turns.
Alpha 1, this is Alpha 2. What's your sit-rep over there?
We're treating Elliot and Sam right now. Be advised, possible multiple mams on our rooftop.
You're unreadable, say back.
You know, when they were on camera, they were still helping out and just helping really elevate this film, which shows like their dedication and how much they wanted to get this right.
Working as a unit to deliver a scene, that was very cool.
All right, here's the breakout plan.
Will and Charles, they're the OIC and the AOIC, which is officer in charge and assistant officer in charge. Those are our leaders.
Start doing a reorg. Prepare for breakout. We're gonna get these guys casted back.
Yes, sir.
Even before boot camp started, I gave them some expectations and what I was going to empower them with. I was like, hey, if someone's late, it's your fault. If someone's missing a piece of gear, it's your fault. If someone gets in trouble out in town, it's your fault. I think they loved that. I think they wanted it. They ran with it. Charles and Will did excellent. Yeah, so that was my approach in the hierarchy, because that's how it really works.
Sir? We're waiting on brigade approval.
What the fuck?
Because the last tanks got fucked up. So they won't send the cast back. Unless the CO gives the thumbs up.
We gotta get him out of here, sir.
They're all staying at this one hotel. So even when they're not working, they're also just hanging out, and they're working out together, they're eating together, they're going out together, they're training together, they're filming together. So they're doing everything together. And then me putting them through very difficult situations, and they're overcoming adversity together. So that bonds just organically.
Fire.
The relationships that you build when you spend that amount of time with somebody. Theirs is shorter than like my experience, but it's still there.
They taught us to recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses and make up for that. And yeah, that was taught from the perspective of in a military scenario or in a military context, but those lessons extended into every facet of what we as actors, what our responsibility was on this job.
Nearly all Navy SEALs, and certainly the ones that I've interacted with, they have a incredible growth mindset. They're the last people to pay themselves compliments, but they're the first people to ask themselves the question of how they can do better.
The cast really embraced this and stepped to it, and it wasn't a culture of trailers and assistants and being driven to and from places. It was exactly the opposite. Those guys never left the set unless it was the end of the day. They worked ferociously hard. We had a very fast shoot. It was 5 weeks, so we had a lot to accomplish in that time.
These actors, what they were able to take on and apply was amazing.
That familiarity with each other had really been established, and there was genuine care for these people and worry for them and trust in them. I don't think that'll ever happen again for me or for any of us. Really special, and I think it was by design that they did that. I mean, we all got tattoos. We all got the same tattoo. I never thought I'd get a tattoo.
Gunners, you'll set up security out on the street. Frank, you straight?
Good. I'm gonna button hook right.
Copy that.
We knew that we were potentially going to be part of something that was giving people a more authentic understanding of what it is to go to war and what it is to be in that environment.
Where would you like it? We're going to be like here. The writing process was very interesting. I've never done a job like this. Ray and I set ourselves some rules at the start of this process, and it was really to not invent stuff for the sake of drama, but if there was a memory of something happening and the memory could be verified, then it had to go in. It began with me and Ray sitting down together for a week in LA. We just spoke every day for hours, and I would write down what he was saying, and I'd say, well, hang on, slow down, or can you explain what this bit of verbiage means, or unpack this a little bit more? And gradually, the transcript sort of built up and became more verified and more complex, and eventually we had a document that was like a shooting script. And it was an unusual process.
A term that's been thrown around quite a lot on this job has been anti-movie, essentially. It's kind of breaking a lot of the rules of how you tell a story, and that was pretty immediately clear when reading the script.
There are movies, high-profile movies that are great, but there was some creative licensing done to either the ending or the characters or a combination of characters. And the people that were there, they're like, that's not what happened. But I think on this, I think we are cracking or breaking the mold on, there is a way to actually, it's not traditional storytelling, but there is a way to take a true story and actually factually stick to it.
One of the things about working on this movie is it really makes you think hard and contemplate what constitutes truth and what it means when people say this is a true story.
Sir, has anyone looked at you, checked you out? Hey, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Has anyone looked at you?
Ray would tell me something, or one of his colleagues would discuss something that sat outside of the window of time. And from a filmmaking point of view, I would know, oh my God, that's like gold dust. If we could put that in, you would understand this character 20 times better. But it doesn't exist in our time frame, so we can't use it. And in the end, we just had to set some rules and stick by them. If you say it's based on memory, you are also saying we are not intentionally inventing. People may reorder events, and then you slowly start to piece together, no, this must have happened before that, or whatever it is. We couldn't put something in because we thought it would be helpful.
Real-life members of this story have come and visited set. That sense of responsibility has only really been underscored, not just to look after one another, but also to do justice to the story and respect their lived experience.
You know, Elliot does not remember the event at all, and so this story is very much for Elliot as much as it is for everyone else who was there.
Listen up! I'm gonna have the Bradleys take off the second floor of this building. Gunners, you're holding security out on the street for extract.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to do it real time, because suddenly then you are making filmmaking God decisions. This thing matters, this thing doesn't matter. Now, to an extent, that's happening because you have a group of people with concurrent actions, and you can't be sticking a camera on 15 people and showing everything that's happening with them simultaneously.
There would be 10-minute takes, 17-minute takes, 20-minute takes, and everybody is so generous with just what they give. Everyone's giving 100%.
No relighting necessary, because everything is essentially practical lighting or available light, and the flexibility and the speed of that was just stunning. And that also took us away from the rhythms of normal filmmaking.
It allows more takes and more iterations, and the more iterations we do, the better they get. Camera and the actor, it becomes a dance, and so I think long takes, we just started getting really smoother and smoother and smoother.
Then long extended takes allowed us to float through spaces where people are doing things concurrently and get little details of reality. A lot of those details are in some ways semi-fictional, because when Ray and his colleagues were giving their account, they don't say, at this point, I scratched the back of my head. There's a sort of textural reality that you could not script. But then the actors living in that space And doing 12-minute take after 12-minute take after 12-minute take do end up scratching the back of their head or yawning or stretching or flexing, and then the camera, which is fluid, might catch that.
How we ended up shooting it was by sticking to these minute by minute, anchor points, like this happened and this happened and this happened. And it's really hard to do those in sections, right? So we just kind of right, let's link 20 of these anchor points together, and then they just run through it.
Bushmaster is approved to maneuver to her position.
Mikey, Brian, give me an update on the roof. Taking effective enemy fire! Multiple backouts to rooftops!
Usually if you're shooting a scene, so you've got 2 actors in one room, you'd kind of stand everyone else down because they weren't in the shot. But in this, everyone was there the whole time. What that meant was it was like a play, and it also meant the camera had an incredible amount of flexibility.
Even if it's not necessarily your turn, they're not covering your lines, sometimes the camera just gets you. So if we're doing a 7-minute take, we are always on.
If your brother is now the focus of a scene, everyone in that room wants to be there to supply him with the appropriate energy so that he may do his best work.
A lot of these guys, even though they're not on camera, gave it their all. When we do the masters, when it's everybody talking over each other, it's real. It hypens you up, it gets you more intense.
Bradley's are 4 minutes out! You got 4 mics. You got 4 mics.
It's more dynamic, and when you watch the film, you'll get this sense of they're very organic. They move around each other very fluidly.
We shot using these self-stabilizing cameras that I'd used on Civil War. They are, from my point of view, like a dream camera setup. They're small and they're pretty light, and I've now shot 2 films with them, and they don't break down, and they can take a lot of different kinds of lenses, but the key thing about them is that they stabilize themselves. They stabilize themselves in a sort of silky way, like you could get off a crane or a Steadicam. It's just an immense amount of freedom. The film is essentially handheld. It's handheld, but it has a level of control. I mean control in terms of movement. So for example, there would be sequences before or around moments of combat where we would shoot in quite a stabilized way, because a certain kind of atmosphere comes with that, and it sounds like the atmosphere that comes with it is almost slightly artificial because it has this word stabilized. But if you think about what it's like when you are walking around the street or a room, that's stabilized. Your vision is not snapping around all over the place like a kind of Barry Ackroyd shaky cam shot. That's not what it's doing. Your own vision is quite stabilized and quite silky. But then when something is traumatic, and there's a certain kind of action happening within it, and you take that stuff off and you can go more to that sort of shaky cam space, it almost feels adrenalinized. So the camera is an absolutely integral, literally integral part of the storytelling, and the state, the mode that the 4D is in, is part of the storytelling.
We're shooting on these cameras that are this big. So the cameramen have just been able to hide into the corner and really weave around us.
Yeah.
So, in a normal set, you'd have to pull a wall away or something to shoot from one side. None of that's needed at all.
Yeah, time between setups is minimal.
When we'd cut and they're resetting or they're moving cameras and things like that, and no one went off into their own little corners, we'd meet up, we'd crack some jokes. It's the whole idea of the camaraderie, the bond, and it just strengthens it more and more.
Can I have silence? Dave Thompson, who shot this film, is a very gifted guy with a camera. This particular device is so suited for organic, intuitive filming. So Dave could shoot in a sort of weird hybrid between something that was beautifully framed and also have a kind of documentary type freedom to it. It allowed us to shoot combat in a very nimble way, very, very physically close to the action, sort of inside the action.
Alex and Ray wanted the ability to be able to roam in these spaces. We've got 2 cameras on the set at the same time, and they're very groundbreaking cameras. They're very small, they're very agile. And Alex instilled this idea of like, you need to know what you're doing at all times. It's almost like theatre.
We were able to move from setup to setup as quickly as Dave standing up and walking over to a different side of the room, and as long as there was space on the card, we'd just go again. So the distance between cut and action sometimes could be like a minute. It was extraordinary.
Redman 06, Propane 54. Contact individual headed north to your location.
On this film, we had a film set that was built like a location. It wasn't on a soundstage, it was built in an airfield where we rebuilt a street in Ramadi in Iraq.
Brief from both of them was to be able to recreate the story as best we can from Ray's memory, as detailed and as correct and as real as possible. And this is often part of our process with Alex, is to build a full composite set. We'll build as real a house as possible and put it in a street as real as possible so that there's no break of drama. You can arrive down the street, walk through the gate, walk through the yard, arrive in the house, be on the ground floor, then go up to that floor, step on the balcony. People can act, people can shoot, drama can flow.
Roughly where's the shot going?
I just go this way back.
Just this way back, right.
In essence, we were building a location. The walls will not move, the ceiling does not move. Tried to make it as real as possible by using, all the real materials. It's multi-camera, it's simultaneous filming, and it's 360. So the implications are that whatever angle you look at, it's safe. And wherever we can help with internal lighting, internal electrics, building in explosion walls or squib walls, build in hatches or access points. And then as the dust and the smoke dies down, VFX will take over and produce a post-damaged building.
Stand by!
We had a very, very good SFX team. The big explosions, they are just big explosions. It's similar to the blanks and the force created and the muzzle flash, which is, genuinely dangerous, and those explosions are dangerous too.
3, 2, 1, action!
Alex was just really clear that he wanted it to be as realistic as possible, and obviously we're going to tell a story that's a true story. So every weapon that has been used, we've been looking at what size bullet holes or what kind of reaction that they would give. During the film, a grenade gets thrown through a sniper hole. We realised that we could get a really powerful effect, and it can be super safe.
The special effects department and what they did with explosions, not just once, multiple takes. They were always there to invoke in all of us a real reaction.
We have the cannon fire off of the Bradley tanks, which are huge rounds. And I've watched endless amounts of videos of what they do to buildings and structures, and we use that reference for our effects. The Claymore effects on the front of the house, we realised that the actors that we had were up for being in the action, so we decided to do a soft explosion, which is safe.
3, 2, 1, action!
But it was quite a hit, and Cosmo and Joe were amazing.
One of the clearest things that helps with performance is the SFX in terms of explosions and gunfire. I've had a lot of these fake grenades go off right in my face. They rock you. They just make everything feel real.
We've had a lot of the Navy SEALs and the Marines in and around set watching a lot of these scenes, and it's really made it such a powerful experience for a lot of the crew to see the actual guys that were there. Their memories are so clear on so many elements of it, it's phenomenal. So you can literally ask the person that was firing that weapon or in that explosion, like what it felt like. I've never been on a film like it.
Mac, Laris, you're covering the family. Yes, sir. When the tank rolls up, Frank, you're gonna pop smoke. Check.
They started boot camp in a basic uniform, and as it progressed, we kind of added bits to it. So by the end of the 2 weeks, they were kind of nicely tuned up.
Oh, so that's how it feels when you're wearing 50 pounds of weight.
And it's like not comfortable.
It's not at all.
I knew 8 months before we were going to shoot this that we were not going to have score in this film. Music would be one of the tools that film has at its disposal to editorialize. Because as we move through the day, we don't have an orchestra following 20 feet behind us, giving rousing strings as we reach for the door handle. And by removing that tool, it's one of the things we did to keep ourselves honest.
Can't see anything.
Another layer to like this immersive experience. We had speaker systems. We had a lot of practical sounds. Airplanes flying over, dogs barking, people walking around. The gunfire is obviously produced by them.
One of the producers had an iPhone. They created an app that had little buttons, which was like machine gun, jet, dogs, car. And you could just press a button.
Yeah, he'd always just go up and like.
Bushmaster, we are approaching OP1 at this time.
Frank, Tommy, you good? Bro! Break out of here. Eyes on me and only me. Great. All right? Fuck, you good? We're good.
At the end of the film, you see the actor with their real-life counterparts side by side. It's amazing how similar they look. Some of them are kind of eerie. It's really, really strange.
We got incredibly close and formed a very authentic, very real camaraderie very quickly.
We created this environment where everyone had the space to be able to confide in each other.
It was a real brotherhood.
Yeah.
A life-changing opportunity to get to have that kind of privileged access to how one of the most like elite, high-performing teams on the planet go about their business. And to be able to do that with a group of friends is just like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and something like I'll definitely never forget.
It's intense, it's fast, violent.
The thing I would add to that list you said, it certainly in its hope and its intention would be authentic.
There has been a collective responsibility to trying to honor what happened to these men.
Reality doesn't let people off the hook. When things are really, really tough, there isn't a dissolve or a cut or a sort of bit of music to cheer you up. You have to stay in that state sometimes until circumstances relieve you from the pressure or the moment. What Ray's created here, that's what this film does. It adheres to reality, not the reassurances of cinema.
It's a voice. You know, you have veterans that are wanting to talk to their loved ones and to say, like, hey, this was my experience. And I think a lot of people can relate to this if you've been through a traumatic event. There is no vocabulary there yet for them to describe what it was like in Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever war you're in. If this can be a voice or some way to say, hey, watch this part. This is kind of what I was feeling, or this is exactly what it looked like. One of the many things this film can do is to be a voice in some way to convey something that they cannot convey, or to describe something that they cannot describe. That's kind of my hopes.
The reason why Ray wanted to tell this story is so that his best friend can see what happened to him. Because he woke up one day not knowing what happened. It's for him. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
You gotta get ready, man. This is gonna hurt. On my count. 1, 2, 3.